So here we are back in GraphJS, and we're going to create two objects today. First is canvas and the other is plot. The first thing we'll do is we'll get rid of our little sanity checks, and now we're going to start creating the objects. Width and height variables are important in D3, so we set them at the start. Set width to 800 and we'll set height to 600. These are arbitrary numbers. You can set them to anything you like, right? But these are more or less standard. Now we're also going to set a margin. Margin is going to be an object with four keys: top, right, bottom, left. Top and right will both be 20, bottom and left will both be 50, because normally there are axes on the bottom and left hand sides in most graphs. Now again, they don't have to be. D3 is eminently customizable. Anyway, we're going to create a fourth variable now, plot width, which we're going to create from the three variables we've created already. Plot width will be width minus the left and right margins. And then plot height is going to be height minus the top and bottom margins. Again, setting these variables at the start makes everything so much easier to adjust later on. So with those variables set, we're now in a position to create the canvas object. And you create a canvas object as D3 select hash for ID. We set a div with an ID of canvas. It says find that div. To that div, append a scalable vector object. A scalable vector object with the following attributes: has an attribute of height, has an attribute of width, and we're also going to set a style, which is a background color, and we're going to set the background color as red. You won't be setting this in real life because red is overpowering. We're just going to set it as red now, just to make sure that this thing comes up, because that's what we've been saying all along. You have to make sure at every step that every step's work, because when you come to a step that doesn't work, and you will come to a step that doesn't work, you want all the steps preceding it to have worked, so it's easy to know where to start before your head melts entirely. Okay, we're going to call up the terminal now. We're going to go python -m http server. Going to launch the Fox. Hurrah! There is our lovely canvas object. We can inspect it. We go to the inspector and we see the details here as we've set them. An SVG with a height 600 and a width 800. Now, because red is overpowering, we're going to change that background to Alice Blue. We go back to the Fox, we reload it, and there's the Alice Blue. So it's a much more subtle color. It'll be easier to view stuff against it. Okay, the next thing to do now is create our plot variable. Our plot variable takes the canvas variable just created. It appends a G element to it. G stands for group, nothing else. It's just a convenience element, a little like div. And we set an attribute to that, a transform translate attribute. Transform translate is a D3 command. It's two words, transform translate, and translate comes with two numbers after it. So it's like translate is a function that takes two parameters, two numerical parameters, some variables, some other variable. Okay. Now you'll have noticed that I've translate in backticks here rather than quotation marks, and the reason for that is because we're going to use string interpolation here to put in just how much to translate. Translate means move, just how much to move this plot canvas, and we're going to move it by the margins. We're going to move it in by the left margin and down by the top margin. So we click save. Just format this a little, tidy it up. There we go back, save it, go back to the Fox. Now you won't see the margin here, but if you go over to the inspector, you see that it has been created, that there's this new G element with the details as we created them. So everything's going great now. Come back next time and we're going to look at the incredible miracle of scaling. In the meantime, live long and prosper.